So today on Big House Sport, we're going to be doing one of those tier maker videos that I used to do in the past, where I basically say who I hate, who I don't mind, who I love. Pretty simple. It's a good way for you guys to know me a little bit more. However, when I do these lists, it's like I don't necessarily hate a team in these leagues. Like I have to put a team in each different category, and I do have a love, I do have a like, dislike, I don't mind, and a hate. I do have all those categories, and I will put a team at least in each one. However, when I have hate, it's just my most disliked team. Because there is only one team in this world who I cannot stand. I absolutely hate with a passion, with a capital A, lowercase h, lowercase te, but a capital A. So hate. Oh, you know I'm talking to you, some piece of shit team. Today, guys, we're going to be discussing all 11 A-League teams and putting them into their categories. So sit down, buckle up, get ready, because you're about to see who I love, who I don't mind, and who I damn well don't like. So first up, let's just chuck them straight up there. Love. I do love the Brisbane Roar. Obviously, that's who I'm wearing. I'm not as affiliated with A-League as I am with a lot of other sports. I am a much more passionate fan of a lot of other sports, like in the Premier League, which I've grown up with, NRL. But in the A-League, I love the Brisbane Roar. They are my team, and I've done a lot of vlogs for them, and I've had a lot of good times with Brisbane Roar, and I'm going to have a lot of more good times in the future as well. Although you guys are going to see me go to different teams in different places and support them against other teams, I've always got one team that I will always go back to and I can't support against. For example, Sydney FC play Brisbane Roar in Sydney. I'm not going to support Sydney FC. I'm probably not going to go to that game, because with this channel, I support the home team usually because that's where the atmosphere comes from. So I can easily support Sydney FC versus like the Jets or the Wanderers versus the Victory, you know what I mean? Like if they're the home team, I don't mind actually going for these teams as long as they're not playing my team, the Brisbane Roar. Alright, next up we'll go with the Perth Glory. I don't actually like them. I don't know why. I don't really like Perth. I'm not a big fan. I don't know if it's just the whole East Coast versus West Coast thing, and I just feel like they're a completely different team. It's just something I feel off about them, and I don't like hate them. I could easily support them in a vlog, but they're just not my style. I don't know really. I really don't know why I just like them. But there's a lot of teams here. Teams have to go somewhere, and I don't like them compared to other teams. But like I said, I could easily support them in a vlog. Okay, well there's a black figure here. I'm guessing that's gonna be Wellington Phoenix because I can't see him anywhere here. But Wellington Phoenix, I'm gonna chuck them in the don't mind column. I know there's a little bit of a cop-out column, but I just don't really care, really. You know, I don't necessarily like them, I don't necessarily dislike them, but they're there and they need to be somewhere, and I don't mind Wellington. I'm never really threatened by Wellington, and there's nothing that really stands out about them. Their crowds aren't great, but then again, most of the A-League's crowds aren't great, and they're in New Zealand, so they're a long way away as well, so you don't really hear too much about them over here, so I guess that's why I don't really, you know, care or mind them as much, because you just don't hear about them enough, and they've just never really been, you know, top tier, #1 outright favourites to really take out a season. It's never been like that. Okay, let's go with Sydney FC. I actually like Sydney FC. Yeah, I don't mind them. I know that everyone's going to be like, oh my gosh, Brisbane versus Sydney, Queensland versus New South Wales. What is damn well wrong with you? Well, there's a lot of things wrong with me. But in this situation, I guess it just doesn't faze me. For some reason, I don't mind Sydney FC. I like watching good football, and although the A-League isn't exactly the peak of quality in world football, I don't actually mind Sydney FC, and they're probably the best of the bunch. They are technically the best of the bunch because they have been very successful, and they continue to be very successful, and I appreciate the quality that they bring to the A-League, and they maintain with the A-League. And I look forward to getting involved with them in the near future at some stage. Next up, we'll go Adelaide United, and this one's pretty easy for me. I don't really like them. Now, the reason why is mainly because of the word United. Now, obviously, you guys know that I hate Manchester United. I absolutely hate that club with a passion. They're red, and they've got United, and Adelaide are red, and they've got United. So the comparison is just too much for me, and I'm just not a fan of this club. I'm not a fan. Like, look, I would be able to support them in a vlog because they are not Manchester United. They actually have nothing to do with Manchester United. So I'm easily able to support Adelaide in a vlog. But I'm not a big fan of the fact that they would be chanting United, United in red colours. It would just be way too much of a comparison to that scumbag club from Salford. So yeah, look, I'm going to have to pass. Sorry, Adelaide fans. It's not even really to do with your club. It's just the fact that your club resembles another team too closely. It just doesn't work for me. Okay, Central Coast Mariners. Gonna chuck them in the don't mind column. I just don't really care, really. Like, I just don't really care. 2-0, you messed it up. Like, as a Brisbane Roar fan, you know, we had that big game in the grand final against them. I'll always appreciate the Mariners for allowing us to come back from 2-0 down with like 3 or 4 minutes to go in extra time in the grand final to win the grand final in penalties. I'll always appreciate them allowing us that opportunity. I guess I've just been at the bottom for so long now as well that I've really lost that dislike for them, or just lost that. I don't even know if I ever disliked them, really. I really don't know if I ever disliked them. I guess they've just been at the bottom for so long that my care factor has just gone down, and absolutely down. I just don't even really think of them anymore. I don't even really just factor them in anymore. I always see them at the bottom, and I guess that's just where my mind always puts them now. Alright, Melbourne City. I think this one's going to be pretty obvious for you guys. You guys know I'm a Manchester City fan, so Melbourne City I have to put in the like column. When they originally became Melbourne City, I was tempted away from the Brisbane Roar, but that is because I've grown up as a Manchester City fan, and Melbourne City are a part of the City Football Group. With that being said, I'm not a Melbourne City fan. Although I was very close to actually becoming a Melbourne City fan because of the transition and the push from Manchester City into the A-League with Melbourne City, you know, reinvested my interest. I'm from Queensland. I just was always more attracted to the Brisbane Roar because I've been a part of them for a lot longer than Melbourne City have been Melbourne City. So I do like Melbourne City because they are a part of Manchester City, so I will always like them and I'll always appreciate them. I would definitely chuck Melbourne City as my second team, but it's always Brisbane Roar for me. Oh, Western United. Western United FC, let's chuck them in the don't mind. There's just not been long enough. They haven't been around long enough. They have just simply not been around long enough for me to give a shit. I would look forward to seeing what type of atmosphere they bring or what it would be like to be at their games. I look forward to that, and I look forward to having an added interest in how they go and how they perform as a new team, because we all saw when the Wanderers joined in that they actually did quite well when they first joined. But, you know, it's only their first year, so we'll see how they go. But yeah, I just don't really care at this point because they haven't been around long enough for me to have an added interest in them. Oh, here we go. Here we go. If I have to put a team in hate, I have to put Melbourne Victory. I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan at all. And I have vlogged on behalf of them before. I think it was against Giant Motors. This was on my early days on BKR Sport when I was living in Melbourne, and I actually supported Victory against, I think it was Giant. If it was a Giant, then, you know, who cares? But the point of the matter is I have vlogged on behalf of them before. I think it's mainly because of the whole Melbourne City versus Melbourne Victory thing, and I was leaning towards Melbourne City at the time that we bought them, and it's just like, I feel like throughout that time that we bought them, I got that dislike for Melbourne Victory. And also, because of the Brisbane Roar, Bessa Barisha leaving the Roar for Victory and the way he acted towards the Roar, acted the Victory when he would score a goal against, like, look, I just think a lot of common factors here increased my dislike for the club. The joint venture of Brisbane Roar's somewhat dislike for the Victory because of Bessa Barisha, along with Melbourne City's dislike of Victory because of the rivalry there, I feel like they're the only team that I could possibly put in the hate column. Don't hate them. Really don't. But they're my least liked team. They are probably my least liked team. Okay, Newcastle Jets. Newcastle Jets. Ooh, I don't even know where I want to put them. I don't know if I just don't mind them or like them. I'm going to throw them in like. I'm going to throw them in like, and this is kind of factored in by what I'm going to do with Western Sydney Wanderers. I was at their A-League Grand Final up there at McDonald Jones Stadium against the Victory. That actually might be another reason why I don't really like Victory, because of the fact that they won that Grand Final in such a big game in Newcastle. A very debatable decision. Very, very debatable decision. We're not going to get through it. We're not going to get into it, but it was not exactly the greatest refereed game. However, it is what it is. I'm not going to get into it. I don't really care. I'm not a Jets fan. But it just annoyed me because I was there as a Jets fan, and I guess that probably factors in as well. But I do like the Jets. I like their stadium. I just like Newcastle in general with the beach there. It's just a beautiful place that can be really fresh in the morning. And, you know, I'm just a fan of the area, really. And I guess that's why it really boost the Jets up into like column. They're not really a team that I would factor in to many conversations, which is why I was a little confused whether I put them in the don't mind or the like column. I do actually really like Newcastle, and they're very similar with the Knights. I really don't mind the Knights. I like the Knights. I don't know where I put them in my NRL team maker. I really don't. I don't know where I put them. Yeah, the Jets, you're not too bad, Sunshine. You're not too bad. You're not my favourite team. You're not in the top 3 favourite teams, but you're definitely up there. Western Sydney Wanderers, where they're going to go? Where they're going to go? Where they're going to go? Western Sydney Wanderers, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. I don't mind them. They're always really anticlimactic. I don't mind them, Western Sydney Wanderers. You know, they're a good team. I really enjoyed them when they came into the competition at first. Funnily enough, it's something you guys aren't aware of, but I have filmed a vlog on behalf of the Wanderers before inside the RBB. However, that vlog never ended up coming out. I was with Shirls, and we were actually in the RBB, and they lost 5-0. It was actually a really good vlog, but I was really lazy at the time. It was like 2 years ago now. They lost 5-0, I believe it was. Yeah, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago now. To wrap up the Wanderers, I don't mind them. I know I'm going to a couple of games with theirs in the very near future, and I look forward to it. The Wanderers have a fan base that are quite well known, and for good reason, because their fans really give a shit about their club, and their fans really love their club, despite the fact that they are struggling the last couple of years. So, I don't mind the Wanderers. Anyway guys, that's going to be it for today's video. If you'd like it, please give me a thumbs up so I know that you're enjoying this content. I do love my A-League, and we're actually meant to get to a couple of vlogs this weekend, but the weather here in Sydney has been atrocious, so we missed out on the Sydney FC versus Wanderers derby and also the Jets versus Mariners derby, but there is still plenty of A-League to come. So if you haven't subscribed yet guys, go down there, hit the subscribe button, and also hit the little ding-a-ling-a-ling notification button so you get notification every single time we upload. We do still have a couple of leagues that we can do this for. There is the NBA, there is the baseball, there is the NFL, there is the hockey, Super Rugby. You know, there is a lot of other sports that we can do this for. But before we do that, I want you guys to go down there in the comment section and let me know what are your loves, likes, dislikes, hates, and don't minds in the A-League. I want to see your list. If you have the Brisbane Roar there, then don't bother putting it in. No, I'm joking. I want to see your list, so go down there in the comment section below and let me know who you would put in your different tiers. But that is going to do it for today guys. Thanks for watching, catch you later, see ya.